you know I've got the same bike, the Honda CBR 600F. This is the F4i. So this is the fuel injected version. I own the carbureted version, basically. And I want to talk today about the differences between carbureted bikes and fuel injection bikes. What I found now riding this one of basically my same bike but fuel injected, and see what I think and what I think. Like, if you're struggling to figure out whether you should get a carbureted bike or you should get a fuel injected bike, and what the differences are, and is it worth looking at one over the other, or is it even a problem if you can find a cheaper bike that is carbureted and you're worried, like, is it an issue having a carb bike, problems that you could face and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. First thing you'll notice is no choke, so I can turn this bike on. It's already warm, but this morning I turned it on and it warms itself up because this has an ECU, because all the electronics sort out all the fueling and everything for you. That's the first benefit of fuel injection, is the fact that it is just all done for you. It's so much more carefree, because obviously on a carbureted bike it's all mechanically done, so you have to physically put on the choke to raise the revs and get that bike warmer, and then when it is a bit warmer and the revs have come up, then you can take the choke off and then your bike is ready to go because it's warm and now it's back down to normal revs. Whereas on this, the computer does everything for you. Same thing with a carbureted bike not having an ECU or computers and stuff like that, is the fact that when it comes into days like this and it's really hot and the air is really thin or really thick, the bike sorts out all the air fuel ratio inside with the computers to make it run better and like be ready for the summer. Same for if you rode this in the winter, it would change everything with all the sensors and stuff, and it would make it run better for the winter. Whereas on a carbureted bike, you kind of have to tune them for the summer and then tune them for the winter. So my bike's tuned for like not crazy hot days like this on my carbureted bike that I normally ride. That isn't tuned really for like crazy hot days like this, so it just bogs around and it's a little bit lumpy sometimes, it's a bit all over the place. But then as the evening progresses and it starts to get a bit cooler into the evening, then my bike starts to come alive and it starts to get faster and it runs way better. But then if I took that bike straight into the winter, I'd probably have to play with them carbs a little bit more and tune them up a little bit in a way that they would run better for the winter time. So that's the big difference straight away, is like you could just buy an injected bike, fuel injected bike, and it will just sort itself out already with the benefit of having an ECU and all of that computerized stuff. The second thing you'll notice between carbureted and fuel injection is the smoothness of the power. So right now I'm in 6th gear. Is there anyone behind me? There's no one behind me, so let me slow down. If I was on a carbureted bike right now and I slowed down to 40 miles an hour in 6th gear and then did what I'm about to do right now, roll on the, so 3,500 RPMs, right, in 6th gear. Now I'm about to roll on the throttle. Smooth, 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 smooth. It's coming into the power band. We're good to go. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely crystal clear smoothness through the entire rev range. If you did that on a carbureted bike, it would bumble around, it would start to flutter down low. It doesn't like it. You have to be in a higher gear. You have to be in a lower gear and in the right rev range in order to get that power, because the transfer from low RPMs to high RPMs, when you hit that power band at about 5,000 to 6,000 RPMs, you feel the switch on a carbureted bike. You feel it rumbling up those carbs, and then you actually feel the switch where it then cuts into the bigger power band, then starts to shoot you forward down the road. It is a much more what's the word? It's a lot more of a fiddly process in terms of having to be in the right gear, otherwise you will not be able to do a pull. Like right now I can go and it will go. On a carbureted bike it won't. You will just sit there, and sometimes it won't even let you go any faster. I've been in 6th gear before, tried to overtake a lorry in way too low of a gear, way too low of a speed, and all the carbs have done have fluttered and they just have not let me go anywhere, and I've stayed on the spot and I haven't even got any faster. It just sort of glitches in the middle and then it jumps into the better power band. Obviously setting up your carbs a bit better could help that, but inevitably that's going to happen with carbs. So that is a very big, not drawback, because I quite like it. I think in a way this is almost too smooth for me, where it lacks a little bit. I'm not saying this bike has got personality, but it does lack a little bit of that playfulness and character. Because on a carb bike I know that I need to tune it up, because I'm like, right, come on mate, let me get you wound up, get it into the right gears. I feel the changeover, it's banging beneath me, and then it cuts in and it goes. Whereas on this, it's just every single time it's going to do the exact same thing. It's never going to do anything different. It's always going to see me the same result. On a carbureted bike, it gives you all sorts of different things, and it keeps you on your toes, and it keeps the bike a bit more playful because you have to learn the bike. So that's what I do like about it, but that's just here or there. That's not one's better than the other, that's just what you prefer. And that's basically this whole argument between fuel injected and carbureted. It's just what you prefer. The other thing is obviously having people to be able to tune up the carbs is quite hard to come by. Luckily I've got James, and he's quite an old school mechanic. He knows how to tune them and mechanically move all the pins to raise the fuel in and lower the fuel in and all that sort of stuff. So that's one thing that you've got to keep an eye on, and the carbs do fall out of line, and you've got to redo them a bit more than you probably would of this sort of bike. But all of that sort of stuff is kind of subjective to what you like and what you can put up with. And for me, I like the carb side for all that sort of stuff. Also, apparently, this might just be between this model and my model, as in the 600F CBR and the F4i CBR. Don't know about other models that are carbureted and fuel injected, but my bike is better on fuel than this bike. I don't know why, I don't know the exact reason, I can't remember, but my bike does more miles than this bike will. I don't know how many more, I can't remember that. I'll try and find it, but my bike being carbureted, I don't know what the reason is for, let me know in the comments, but mine does more miles. It's better on fuel than the F4i. I don't know if that's because this is putting down more power maybe, or it uses more, I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. Alright, I'm not a mechanic. But yeah, fuel economy I think does play a factor into it, but don't quote me on it. But I do think that is something to look into as well. The last thing I guess is like power. This is just a direct comparison between the F4i and the 600F, I guess. But this has obviously got more power than mine. Mine's 97 horsepower, this is like 110 I think, maybe 120, I think it's 110. So obviously fuel injection, I think computers and all that sort of stuff may be able to give you a bit more power, a bit more reliable power, whereas the carbs are a little bit down low. But you can get bigger jets, so if you wanted to tune this up to get more power, this, you just plug it into an like to the whatever, the rolling road, and then tune it up on the computer, and then it would make more power. Whereas on carbureted bikes, in order to get more power with the engine, you've got to get a jet kit, you've got to get all the mechanical pins and the screws and the wide openings for all the mechanical bits for the fuel in, and actually take them out and then put the new ones in that have got bigger openings to squirt more fuel in, to then be able to tune the bike up a bit faster. So it's a lot more mechanical and old school, but it's so much more fun. That's kind of, I guess that's kind of all the argument points that I've got for it. It's like I say, it's not a case of what one's better, it's just a case of what you prefer. If you want ease of use and a reliable bike that is smooth and you know it's going to do all its things and you don't have to do any mechanical crazy stuff, the fuel injection is the way to go. It's just it's an easy life, mate. But if you want a bit more of a personality, sort of characterful bike that will play around and will give you all different sorts of things while you're trying to put the power down, and it's a lot, you've got to be really in tune with it, I think the carbureted bikes are definitely a more involved experience with the bike. That's all I would say comes down to it. So it's just what one you want to choose. Don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against fuel injection, but I would choose the carbureted for my bike anyway. I will get fuel injected bikes of other models, but for my bike, riding this exact model but the full injector version, I prefer mine. That's just my personal preference, you know what I mean? This is still a fantastic bike. I've loved riding this over the past couple of days, but when I get mine back, I'll feel straight away that character and that sort of playfulness of the carbs and sort of figuring out what the bike wants to do. It's just fun, man. I love my bike, absolutely love it. Oh, and sound. Fuel injection sounds different to carburetors. So this is the same exhaust system that's going on my new bike, and my bike sounds different to this one because of fuel injection. I don't know why, but they sound different, slightly. That's it. Just thought I'd talk about that because why not? It's an extra video and it's quite a funny topic. Are you set on fuel injection and you think that's the only way you can go, or as this video showed you that, you know what, you could get a carbureted bike and it's not that scary? Because I think some people might think, oh, carburetors, fuck that, I couldn't be doing with that. It's not that big a deal. It's really not that big a deal. The worst thing is just finding someone to do being able to work on the carbs. That's it. Other than that, it's a great time. So yeah, don't underestimate the carbs, but choose whatever you want, really. Supermoto guy. He's probably fed up of me riding because of this is my second time on the bike since my crash, so I'm riding very carefully. Anyway, I'm about to pull up to the crash site right now, so I'm about to make a video on exactly what happened and where I was and show you the road and stuff like that. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. You're all legends. I will see you in the next video. Ride safe in a bit.